So one of the more challenging things about running a handmade business is keeping up with your bookkeeping. It can seem overwhelming, confusing, and there's all sorts of regulations and tax laws and things that you do need to get a handle on. But at the base of it all, at the foundation of it all, is basically just that you need to keep track of your income and your expenses. And there are lots of different ways that you can keep track of these numbers. Today, I want to share with you 5 methods that you can choose from in order to keep track of your handmade business bookkeeping, from simplest and cheapest to most complicated and expensive. Okay, so the very most basic thing that you can do is have a simple spreadsheet. This is something anybody can do. You can do it for free using Google Sheets or multiple other programs that are out there. And all you need to do is simply keep up with this on a regular basis. You need to have a column for your income. You need to have a column for your expenses. And you do need to break down those expenses into different categories. And I would recommend that you have a look into the taxation law in your country to see what those categories might be. But you can start with things simple as my fees, my stationery, my software. So break your expenses down into the different sorts of areas or zones of things that you spend your money on in your business, and then keep track of it here in the spreadsheet. This one's a little bit more work in that you have to keep up with it on a regular basis, But look, even if you have software, which I'm going to get to in a minute, you still have to reconcile that software. So you do still have to keep up with it. There's no kind of easy way around this, unless you pay someone else to do it for you. That's probably the easiest option, but not the cheapest option. So a simple spreadsheet is a great place to start. And that's where many people do start. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be going from now on is software options for you that I have found. So the first one is Wave. Wave is great, it's simple, it's straightforward, and it's also free. So that might be an awesome choice for you if you have a simple structure in your handmade business. Maybe you just have one place that income's coming in, you have a bank account or a PayPal account that you can link to this. So you can use Wave for this and it doesn't cost you a thing. The next one I found is called Zoho, and this one is free up to a certain threshold of income. So you can use it for free up to that income threshold, which again is a great choice for people who are starting out, who want to keep track of all this stuff and do it properly from the beginning, but you're not making a huge amount of money. Then something like Zoho might be a great choice for you. Okay, so the next 2 options I'm going to suggest are paid options, but these are the ones that have all the bells and whistles. So if you need the bells and whistles, these might be the ones for you. These are Quickbooks and Xero. Now, from what I can see, there's not a whole lot that's very different or that stands out between these two. I've only used Xero, so I can only speak to that and how it works. We use Xero and we have used it for many, many years now. So we went from the spreadsheet method to using Xero. And the reason that we finally upgraded was because we wanted to be able to delve into our finances in much more detail. And also because here in Australia, we have to register for GST, General Sales Tax, which means we have to do something called a BAS, a Business Activity Statement, every quarter. And using software like Xero, it takes me 2 minutes to do it because all the data is already there. I literally press a button and it gives me all the numbers I need to plug into my BAS to give to the tax office. And it's just so easy and so simple. And also I can then look at my profit and loss statements and other financial statements, and it breaks it all down for me by whatever parameters I want to look at. I can compare all of my income and expenses for this financial year to the previous financial year with a click of a button. For the last 5 years, or I think like 8 years we've been using it, I can look back and see how our business is going, again with a click of a button. Whereas when you're using something like a spreadsheet, you have to do all this sort of stuff manually, and it's a lot more challenging to make those sorts of comparisons and look at how your business is tracking over time. So for Xero and for Quickbooks and these other programs, you can integrate your bank accounts. So we have our business bank accounts integrated with it. We have PayPal integrated with it. You still have to do what's called reconciling, so you still have to go through and check every transaction, so it's not like it takes away all of the work. And unfortunately, because of some issues with things like Etsy not allowing us to charge GST, we have to actually manually adjust for that in any Australian sales we make on Etsy. On our own website, it's fine because we have GST included there. So these are all the sorts of things that you need to know about and think about when it comes to, you know, making the decision, do I just use a spreadsheet or do I want to upgrade to a piece of software that will make it easier to track how my business is going over time and to see what's happening with my money, and also how complex your structure is. How many different income streams do you have? How many different types of expenses do you have? If you literally just have one income stream and some basic expenses, then a spreadsheet might be all you need at this point. But if you are dealing with taxes and you are like sales taxes, and you are dealing with other complex elements, then it might be worth upgrading or trying out one of these other free or paid programs to see what works best for you. Now, most of these programs have trial periods, so you can kind of try before you buy and have a little poke around and see how they go, how they work. A lot of them have heaps of information out there, obviously, so you can decide what's best for you. Again, if you are just starting out, you might just want to try something like Wave because it is free, it doesn't cost you anything, and you can kind of make progress and work your way up to, if necessary, using one of the more complicated and more expensive bookkeeping programs out there. Now, I'd want to give you one bonus piece of software that you might find helpful, especially those of you in the US. It's called craftybase. It is specifically made for makers and crafters, and it doesn't just keep track of your income and expenses, it keeps track of your inventory and your cost of goods sold. Now, those of us in Australia, this doesn't matter. For our taxation purposes, it doesn't matter because we just have income, expenses, that goes on our tax return, boom, you're done. But in the US, you have to worry about this whole inventory and cost of goods sold stuff. So craftybase actually tracks that for you. So that might be something that you want to check out if that's something that you're looking for, and that's going to make your life easier, especially if you have a busy, big business and lots of different materials and inventory that you need to track. Now, if all of this just seems too overwhelming and you don't even understand like income, expenses, deductibles, what is this? What? I do have a workshop on this coming up in my membership community, the Thriver Circle, bookkeeping basics for makers, and I'll actually be giving you an example free spreadsheet in that you can just take and use. If you just want to use a simple DIY spreadsheet, I'm going to give you one in that workshop that you can just literally copy and use. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I'll put a link to more information about that in the description below. And I've also put a link to all of this software that I've talked about in this video in the description below, so you can do your own investigation and have a look and see which one might be right for you. Whatever it is, I want to encourage you to get this sorted now. Now, I'm releasing this in April, and I know in the US, this is tax time. For those of you in April, your tax returns are due. So this may be that time where you've gone, I really should have sorted this out sooner. I really need to do differently. I remember my first year doing tax for my business. I had none of this. I literally had to print out a year's worth of PayPal because that's what I was using then, was just PayPal, thankfully, and go through and actually figure it out. And it took me so long. And I vowed at that point that I would never, ever make myself have to do that again. So that's when I set up my spreadsheet, and we used that for a couple of years. So don't do what I did, or maybe you already have. Maybe you've already realized you need to do something differently, but work out a system and get started with it today. Don't delay. Get started with it today, because the sooner you start, the easier it's going to become next tax year. For those of you in Australia, you know we're just a couple of months away from the end of the tax year. So if you can start something now, you'll have it all set up and ready to go once July 1st hits and we start the new financial year, and you will thank past you in the future for doing it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give me a like and let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video all about how to have a thriving and profitable handmade business. Bye for now.